to our senior high stream. If you've not met me before, my name is Becky.
I'm Moses.
This is Moses, and we are super excited that you guys are here to hang out with us tonight on our senior high stream to have some fun conversations and play some games, which is going to be super awesome.
I'm not looking forward to this at all.
Moses, you did great the last time you played this game.
It's true.
So you should not be worried.
Okay.
Did I what?
Never mind. It's all
Okay,
good.
you'll find out.
Yeah.
So we're super excited about today because there's a game that we're going to be playing that you might not have seen before if you haven't hung out with us on our Friday Hangout. So it's going to be great.
Slightly scary.
Three things. Slightly scary.
Slightly
For
scary.
Moses only. But three things that we want to chat with you about before we jump into our big conversations. First of all, we want to talk to you about our lovely friend Darcy here. This is our social distancing stick that is letting you know that we are sitting 6 feet apart at all times.
And yes, there is a fish on the end.
You will find out why
yeah.
later.
It's very exciting.
It is. So this is just to make sure that you guys realize that we're doing what we can to keep us safe and to keep you safe too. Now, we have something really exciting that's coming up in 2 months that Moses is going to be telling us all about.
100% just blanked. I'm kidding. So I know a lot of you were excited about the missions trip, but unfortunately due to COVID-19, we've had to cancel that. But Youth Unlimited has been working hard at putting together something called Project Serve in a box. So what you're gonna do is just get a box, and there's gonna be a bunch of things in there in order for you to participate, serve your city, grow deeper with your relationship with God, and also grow deeper together as a community. So make sure you tell your friends and invite your community group.
Yeah, and so the link to figure out the information, the details about that, and to register is in the description below. So make sure you click on that a little bit later to figure out kind of what this is all about. It's a box, kind of like those subscription boxes that you see on like Instagram and whatever.
There's also gonna be a t-shirt in there.
T-shirt with, I hear tie-dye.
I heard there was gonna be tie-dye as well.
Which is
so-
super awesome.
yeah.
So there's going to be lots of cool things in those boxes for you guys to interact with, and your family, I think,
Yep.
works together
Yep.
too. So it's going to be
There
a
might
really
be a
cool
treasure
time.
hunt as well.
Ooh, that is very enticing. So that's pretty sweet. I'm really excited for this opportunity to, even though we're kind of hanging out at home, still have a chance to make a difference and serve our
Yeah.
city. So definitely check that out and see if you are able to be involved. Now, third thing we wanted to remind you guys about is the lip sync battle videos. So we're really looking
yes.
forward to getting those from you guys soon. I know that there's been a little bit of interest from you guys already.
Alma, I know you're gonna make one, and it's gonna be amazing.
Yes, we can't wait to see them. So definitely make sure that you are talking with your groups, talking with your leaders, and getting ready to go to send in your videos. Now our deadline was May 22nd, which I believe is next Friday, I think.
All the dates have started blurring.
All
in.
blurred together,
Damien!
guys.
That's
I
who
don't-
should make a lip sync video.
Everyone should make lip sync videos. But that's going to be May 22nd is when we're hoping to get those videos in by. We know that stuff has been a little bit, it's hard date-wise right now with school and family stuff and whatever. So if May 22nd doesn't work out for the majority of us, we might try to be flexible with that date as well and do it just maybe a little bit later because we're really excited for what you guys are doing. We've heard that a couple people are already interested. So we're looking
Does
forward
it have
to
to
that.
be a song though? What does that even mean?
What are you gonna lip sync? Like a speech?
Abraham
mean,
Lincoln's 7 years ago.
If you
Nice.
have a recording of that, that'd be interesting.
Amazing.
But anyways, maybe we'll talk with you offline about that. Who is it? It's
Doesn't
Tim.
have to be
Yeah,
a
we'll talk with you offline about that. But just two quick
Dramatic
things that you need
reading.
to remember about your lip sync video. Make sure that it is done in landscape, so the long way, not portrait, just because we want to fill the whole screen with your beautiful faces. So make sure you do it that way. Also, when you're picking the content for your video, make sure that it is appropriate. So just making sure, yes, that it is something that we can show on our stream, something that you would be comfortable showing your parents. So no explicit or suggestive content at all. So
Or
make
your
sure,
5-year-old sibling.
or your 5-year-old sibling, yes. So make sure that it's something that you're comfortable sharing online like that.
Your grandma.
Or your grandma.
That's-
That's a good measuring stick. Awesome. So make sure you send those in to us. We're so stoked to see them. So we're really excited. Now, today, It looks like
boy.
we have a bunch of people already joining in that we didn't see before.
Grover
I
is
see
back.
Josh and Damien and Zoe and Tim and Elaine and Carla Ray and Daria and Grover. Hi guys, we're so happy that you are here. We're gonna have some fun tonight. We're gonna have some pretty cool conversations as well. So I hope that you guys are prepped and ready to go.
I'm not.
Now, you're not?
I'm not.
Moses, what are you doing? Not okay. But and I see Annalise
Hey,
and
everybody.
Jessalyn too. Nice. Hi guys. We are gonna get started on one of the really fun parts of our stream tonight, and that is our game. Moses is freaking out about it because he's playing today. Now, as I mentioned before, this might be a game that you may have seen or maybe not have seen. If you haven't come to our Friday Hangouts before, this is a game we've only played there so far, and it's called The Ultimate Spelling Bee. And we're really excited about this game because
my goodness.
even though it doesn't sound awesome, it actually is. So what's going to happen is we have three
The spelling
contestants.
part isn't as awesome.
No, but
But
you'll
the-
see why it's fun. So we have three contestants. We're going to be having Moses, Jono, and our friend Amy coming
Woo!
back to join us as well to play a spelling bee game. Now, it sounds pretty simple. They're going to write out blanks, fill in the blanks with their spelling, basically, for the word. But the catch is, if they get the spelling incorrect, our friends have an opportunity for fun today,
Fun.
which is my favorite part. And what's even better
crazy.
is you guys at home actually get to choose what the opportunity for fun for our guests today is going to be. So Lydia will
Oh
be
boy.
throwing up in the chat these votes, these links to votes that we'd love for you guys to check out and vote in to see what our contestants are going to be doing if they misspell a word. Now, what's really awesome.
Yeah, Grover, how's your arm doing?
Yeah,
there?
Grover did lose some hair during this game like 2 hours ago. I double checked the little wax strip, and there was quite a few hairs in there. So thank you for being brave and participating, Grover. It's great. Nice one, Natalia. Yes, he does, surprisingly. Anyways, without further ado, I'm going to be inviting our contestants up here in just a second. Don't forget to vote in those voting links, and we're going to be getting started here. So why don't you give a warm
Oh my
welcome
goodness,
to
here we
Amy
go!
and Jono.
Woo!
All right, all
All
right.
right.
Hair to lose.
Can you guys
Hello,
hear me?
everybody.
You guys can hear me at this point. The microphone is all hooked up. All right. So, lady and gentlemen, if you don't mind grabbing your clipboards,
Are you ready, John?
please.
I'm ready. Are you
Yes,
ready?
it's from under your chair there, Jono. You should have a marker. Everyone's got a marker. Yes. Fabulous. All right.
I got the king
So for
size
those of you at
Sharpie.
home
All
who
right.
maybe missed how this game is played, what's going to be happening is I'm going to give a number of letters. They will write the blanks out, and then I will tell them the word. They will spell said word. Now, what's even greater today is the Bible edition. So this is super fun. I actually had a great time flipping through the books of Kings and Chronicles and just flipping
my
and
goodness.
pointing at the great names that are in those books.
Excellent.
So we have some of those. We've also got some names of places too. Now, ladies and gentlemen, are
Amy,
you ready?
are you ready to lose?
All right, our first round, and ladies and gentlemen at home, don't forget to vote in the poll. Here we go. Our first word has 8 letters in it. You'll leave 8 blanks. This is by far not the
Ouch.
shortest word that we have. 8
My
blanks.
pen's about to die.
Oh no.
That's an unfortunate situation to have.
Very, very unfortunate. All right, if you guys are ready, the
John.
first word is Ahimelech. We're keeping it nice and simple for the first one. Ahimelech. This man was a priest that David, before he was a king, freaked out. So you can check him out in 1 Samuel 21,
wait.
verse 11. David was not the king yet. He came by, and for some reason, Ahimelech was freaked out by David. So that was kind of cool.
Dude, simple.
Yes, this one is the simple.
Well, for like you Bible studiers over there, maybe.
My pen!
Oh
Are you just faking this, Moses? Are you just? Oh, nice catch. Nice catch.
Thanks, I'm a ninja. Part-time
All right,
ninja.
here we go.
no! All right, here we go. We've got a.
Nothing like breathing
Yes,
in the
we do.
fumes of
Oh
this
my
red
goodness.
marker.
Here we go. All right, gentlemen and lady,
Oh boy.
flip your board.
You're like, oh.
All right. All
Dang
right.
it.
Okay, so here
I
we
was
go.
so
We're gonna
close.
count how many words you get or
Jono.
letters you get incorrectly. Here we go. A.
Yeah.
H
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
M
Yeah.
E
Yeah.
L
Yeah.
E
Yeah.
K.
Yep.
Wonderful. All right. So we've got
Amy.
all check
I
marks
got
in the
two
front.
wrong.
You got two wrong. So. Oh,
So
Amy,
sorry,
you
Amy.
have our first opportunity for fun.
Oh man.
I'm so excited for you. This one is called Sunny Side.
Oh
That's
no.
what it is. So, Amy, I'm gonna get you to come and grab
Oh.
this garbage bin here, as well as your tool
I'm so sorry.
for your breakfast today.
I'm so sorry. I feel so bad
oh
for you.
my goodness! So this particular opportunity for
I
fun you
remember
voted
when
on
Lydia did this.
requires
What did you
Amy
do?
to crack an egg over her head. Now she can crack it and drip it on her head, or she can just smack that thing right on her forehead. That is up to her. But this is your opportunity for fun, so go for it,
Oh, I
Amy!
did my hair so nice today. Okay. Well, I don't want to pick eggshell out of my hair, so I'm just gonna. Oh, it's hard to crack. Wait.
Oh
Oh my goodness, Amy! You are a
You're a
champ.
champ.
That
We've
looks
got baby
amazing.
wipes here too if
We
you
do
need.
have baby wipes for you. We also have paper towels.
Oh.
on the
I
side
do
for
need
you.
a little baby wipe just to get it out of my face, I think.
Wonderful. I will just toss
Yay.
that over to you.
Nice
Beautiful.
connection. Oh man.
Alright, and while you are getting ready for your next word, it's going to
Okay.
be 7 letters. Only 7 today. So you can put out your blanks.
7. Sorry.
7.
I'm just traumatized by what just happened. I'm just kidding. 1,
Yes,
2,
although
3,
it is
4,
true, and
5,
it is
6,
good
7.
for your hair.
Is it?
Yeah, apparently. So you're getting like a hair mask almost. So you can see this as a really great opportunity for
I can't mess up. I just can't mess up.
Alma, have you ever put egg in your hair?
Ooh. Yeah, Annalise too?
Egg
Yeah, all
Olympics
these
was a
guys.
good time.
This is a great
Ah.
thing. So we should
We'll have
try
to
that.
bring
Maybe
that
we
back.
need to bring eggs Olympics back.
Yes.
Maybe.
I remember this one youth event where it was guys versus girls, and we had to toss eggs in the air, and each team member had to smack them with like a tennis racket
Nice.
and see how many they could break. That was
That's
amazing.
cool. That's cool.
Well, maybe we can resurrect that once COVID
100%.
regulations are a little
100%.
less stringent.
Or you could do it at home
Today,
and show us.
Yeah,
That
there
is
you go.
true. All right, we are going to be doing our next word. That is 7 letters long. The word
That's
is
disgusting.
Megiddo.
Oh.
Megiddo. This is a city, or depending on how it's referred to, this is a city or a great
Megiddo.
plain.
I don't
The
Megiddo.
plain where apparently Armageddon is supposed to be taking place in the future. And fun fact for you guys, Moses and I have been there.
6 years ago.
Yeah, we did.
Could you
we
say
went
it one
to
more
the
time?
Valley of Armageddon. It's called Megiddo.
Whoa.
Megiddo.
Hey now. Hey you.
Like the fruit.
What kind of fruit is called Megiddo?
Megiddo.
I've never heard that.
My gammy makes
All right,
Megiddo.
are you
Oh.
ready?
No, wait, just give me 1 second.
We're ready to flip your board.
Really sad
I'm so sorry, Amy.
Megto? Alrighty. So I see one correct answer here. So let's spell it. It is
John.
M-E-G-I-D-D.
Oh, there's 2 D's.
Yes.
I screwed that up.
Please. I threw that one in there because
I knew it. I second guessed myself.
So, Moses, I'm going to give you the honor
I got 2.
of Darcy's defense.
Oh, yes.
So who was the one who got the
Is it
most
John, no?
incorrect?
Or-
I got 2 letters
You got
right.
2? How many did you?
I'm so
Right?
sorry, Amy.
Oh my goodness. All right, Moses, Darcy's defense. We have the fish slap that's going to be happening here.
Okay.
Dude. Okay, all right. Let's move on. This next word has 14 letters.
What?
14 letters. Now don't forget to vote in the poll. What opportunity for fun you guys want to see next?
14 letters.
14 letters.
Nebuchadnezzar.
Yep.
Actually, yes.
What?
Nebuchadnezzar is our word. He was a king of Babylon, and you can check him out in the book of Daniel, chapter 2. He is obviously all throughout the book of Daniel, but and some other books as well. He is an interesting character. Matt's just giggling with glee in the
It seems
background.
so short compared to 14 blanks. Like,
Yep.
there must be 2 B's.
There's a lot of soft J's. A lot of soft J's.
A lot of soft
Should I go
J's.
get you negative?
All right, are you guys ready?
No.
You have 10 seconds.
Ah.
Way too
9,
easy.
8, 7, 6,
Sir.
5,
Matt, pop my eardrum with that face.
3, 2, and flip your boards, ladies and gentlemen.
I got to the end and there was a blank black, so I moved
Oh.
it there.
All right, here we go. N E B U C H A D N E Z Z A R.
That was an unfortunate situation
Nice
because
job.
I missed one letter and it put all of them.
Oh. All right, how many letters did you get incorrect, John?
Do I have to answer?
Yes, you do.
10 of them.
He got 10.
Because of the one stupid word.
Mine incorrect.
The one word, or letter.
All right.
Oh, that's so sad. All right.
All right, so for this one, we are doing
Nice work,
the
Amy.
juicer.
Oh,
So
love
this
pepper
one,
juice.
you're gonna be coming getting this lovely cup of yellowish fluid with a
course.
chunk
Do
in
you
it.
want this
Just
garbage
include it.
just in case you hate it?
Actually, couldn't mind it at all.
And you're gonna drink this. This is banana pepper juice.
All
I
right.
love
This
it.
is hot and picante is what the
Oh, gross.
thing says.
Mystery
Yep.
fluid.
All right, he
John
wants
might
more.
drink the rest of it.
I do
Honestly.
have, if you'd like, I have the rest of the jar here. You can just take the entire thing.
It's okay.
All right, let's move on to word number 4.
Oh no.
How many rounds are there?
27.
I'm gonna take out the
I think I was
words.
supposed
We're
to be
gonna go
switching
to
my paper
6
between.
total. So we're
Oh,
moving on.
boy.
6.
The next word has 12 letters.
Oh.
This one, I'm thinking, should probably be easier for you. I'm
Oh,
hoping
I know
so.
what it is.
Do you?
That's one.
No, it is not that one.
Belshazzar.
All right,
Mm.
frankincense. Frankincense.
Oh, okay.
Forgiveness?
Frankincense. Not forgiveness. Now, this is a really interesting word because most people associate it with Christmas because it was one of the gifts that the wise men gave to Jesus when he was born. But this one is actually first referenced, from what I can remember, in Exodus chapter 30,
Ooh.
verse 34. This was part of the
We should
specific incense that was put before the ark. in the
we
temple.
should study John and make a vaccine for spicy food.
All right then.
Make them burn.
Okay, are you guys ready?
Hi to Keegan, Annalise. Say hi to Keegan.
Flip your board. Test turns. All right, here we go. All right.
Oh boy.
It is spelled F
Yeah.
R A N K I N
Yep.
C E N S E.
Wow.
Okay, Moses, what the heck? How are you doing so well?
I don't know.
Jono?
2 wrong.
You got 2 wrong. How many did you get wrong, Amy?
6.
Awesome. So what is our thing? Oh, Amy, are you gelling? Oh, Amy. So you already got your hair mask, which means your hair was done.
Now
Being
I'm
like
finishing the looks.
moisturized, you're gonna finish your look. So you can come and grab this beautiful orange container of extra strength hair gel, and you're gonna give yourself the best mohawk that you possibly can in the next minute or so.
I left the house being like, my hair looks so good today.
I'm
So
very
sorry.
How much do you want me to
As
take?
much as you need.
This look,
It smells like
nice.
orange, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully it doesn't make your hair fall off.
This is hard. It's gonna harden.
Guys, I hope this doesn't scare Amy away from all
I
our.
took a lot.
Yeah.
Coming back.
Well, you can even just do a mohawk with your legs. That's fine.
Dude.
Do
Yes. Okay, wait.
it. You got this.
When I said I make a lot of
in the garbage bin. 'cause there was just
You
so
need more.
much.
You need more.
Oh, it
All right,
smells
here we
orange.
go. We got extra strength, extra hold, so hopefully it'll stick straight
It's in
up.
her eyes. It's burning.
You'll be like a unicorn, a beautiful unicorn.
I need it.
Now it needs to dry.
That's
Yeah.
impressive.
That is impressive.
Rest on my hair because you know it's already.
That's actually amazing.
Gel my egg.
That is
back into
amazing.
curl.
Oh, you are a pro.
Yep.
Amy. I love it.
Yep.
All right, we're moving on to our next word. This one has 10 letters.
Oh.
This one if you are ready for it, is
Kind of look.
Jehoiakim. Jehoiakim is 10 letters.
Oh, what?
Jehoiakim. So this is one of the kings of Judah who was not
She
good.
looks like a who.
5, 6, 7, 8. Keep your comments to
This
yourself.
guy, you can find him in 2 Kings chapter 24, verse 8. He was one of the kings that did evil in the sight of the
Sorry,
Lord.
Can you say it again?
Can you say it again?
Jehoiakim. Jehoiakim.
Cain.
Jehoiakim.
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 Not Yehokim, right?
I can't even do that.
Okay.
So no.
Soft J. Silent J, guys.
Silent.
With an extra 7 in there, I think there's a silent 7.
This is where we get shenanigans.
John, did you listen to that? There's a silent 7.
I think this is where Elon Musk got his inspiration.
Baby name from. Baby time.
All right, are you guys ready
Yes.
to flip your boards? Here we go. Flip your board. Okay.
Chin. Oh boy, is that supposed to be chin?
We're not kidding. That's
So
awesome.
it is J E H O I A C H I N.
Yes. Yes.
All right, Amy.
You guys have all
Six.
done already?
6 wrong.
Apparently. So Amy.
So
Oh my
sorry. So unfair for her.
You and Lydia are
Hey,
both.
better me than you guys have gotten farther along. This
Oh my goodness, my friend.
Oh, no.
Austin's name
This
tag.
one
You got an egg on
great
this.
because you get
Oh no.
smooth sailing. So this
Hey.
one,
Free wax.
yes, you are going to be making your arms as smooth as a baby's bottom in the next second here. So what you're gonna do is you get this nice little strip here. You peel it into 2 pieces, both
I
sides
think she needs a gift
are
card.
She needs a gift card for
So
sure.
you can do it twice if you'd like to.
1 for each arm.
You could totally do that.
Oh my
So
goodness.
this is the one that Grover lost quite a chunk of hair on in the last
I'm
game.
scared.
And
Dead skin.
too.
He was exfoliating.
Well, if I don't go all out, then why did I even come?
There you go.
I
I love your attitude.
baby.
That is.
You are
She deserves a
amazing.
gift
She
card,
deserves
guys.
thumbs ups and applauses and cakes
A
for
gift
sure.
bag?
Give her a gift
A
card.
gift bag.
A gift
All right.
basket?
Okay, are you
Giant
ready,
one.
Amy? You've got some nice shiny arms right now. Soon it's just gonna be your skin being nice and smooth and shiny. Are you ready? 3, 2, 1. Nice.
Oh.
Oh yeah, I got my fuzz off. That's nice. Hey, I'm gonna do the other.
Go for it.
Oh, that one hurt more. Oh.
You got like that on that one? Nice. Thank you, Amy. All right.
Life quotes by Amy.
This one is going to be our last word for the evening, ladies and gentlemen. This one is weird. This one has a hyphen in it.
How
So
many letters?
it's 14 letters
I think I need
with a hyphen after the
14?
7th letter. Yes, 14. So the hyphen is after the 7th letter.
I know this.
Okay.
All right.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
All right.
Rigging the game.
Dash.
I promise, Jesse, we did not rig this game.
Sorry, one more time. How many letters?
There are 14 total. The hyphen goes after the 7th letter.
I feel
Here
so
we go.
bad.
This guy's name is Tiglath-Pileser.
Oh, yes.
He was a king of Assyria, and you can find him in 2 Kings chapter 4. Nope, not 4. 15, 29. I don't know why in the world I said 4. So Tiglath-Pileser.
The third.
I don't know what number he was. Tiglath-Pileser.
Could you use that in a sentence?
He was the king of Assyria.
Oh.
A
Damien, no way! That's amazing. I'm sure.
It's Amy.
I'm sure he's the only one
Tiglath-Pileser?
in his generation with that name.
Becky.
So in the future,
One more time.
it is Tiglath-Pileser. That is something that I'm sure is open for the future if you guys are looking at baby names in the future.
People call me Josh for short.
Oh my gosh. All right, let's
Okay,
see. What do we have here?
I'm blanking.
Oh,
yes.
So good.
Okay.
I literally just looked at this the other day.
Why would you know what the?
All right,
How do you just look at it?
here we
Ah.
go.
I have to go with what I think it is.
You ready to flip your boards, ladies and gentlemen? All right, Tiglath-Pileser. Here we go. Tiglath. T-H
Dad, shoot.
hyphen P-I-L-E-S-E-R.
Yes.
Got one wrong.
Yeah, I got one wrong too.
All right, and what did you get, Amy?
You're 4 wrong.
You got 4 wrong. You know what? Because Moses has not had an opportunity
Yeah,
for fun
I think
today,
that's fair.
and because Jono has only had 1 opportunity for fun, we're all gonna do shoe fly.
yes.
So this is gonna be super amazing. So Amy, you can start us off because you had the lowest number here. So she's gonna come and grab the electric bug zapper that we
There's a
have.
warning on it in another language.
I know.
Matt says that there's a warning on it.
Do I hold the button?
Yes, you have to
Yes.
hold the button and touch it. Now you're more than welcome. You can touch it with your finger or your nose, whatever you like. Are you ready?
I'm so scared.
Do it.
You have to jab it. Yeah.
Oh, jeez. I didn't like that.
All right, Moses, here we go.
Like multiple times.
He's so excited.
Oh,
John was like,
I would put it on your nose.
What? On your nose. What?
I am 100% kidding. All right, well, thank you very much for competing today, contestants. You. All right, you guys are amazing. Thank you so much. We can give them a nice round of applause for participating in our wonderful.
Thank you, Amy.
Thank you, Amy. Thank you, Jono.
Coming and being part of our game.
I just wanted to say, someone asked if the lip sync had to be a song, and I feel like it'd be really fun to lip sync to the Fitness Gram Pacer test.
What?
I do not know.
I think there's a remix to it. I think it'd be really fun.
Okay, that is good to know. We will take that into consideration. Thank you, Amy.
Thank you, Amy.
nice.
That was awesome. Well, thank you guys so much. In the future, we would love to have some ideas from you about what kind of opportunities for fun we can have
Just
our
a
contestants
disclaimer,
play.
don't try this at home.
Yeah, just in case you.
All right, well, thank
Have
you
an
so
idea.
much, contestants. I'm going to get you to come off the stage here
Oh,
and
bye,
get ready
guys.
for our next part of the evening. So that means I'm just going to be hopping off my mic here and coming in to join Jono on the stage.
Awesome. Well, I'm just gonna take a swig here because that pickle juice or whatever it was is starting to boil in my stomach.
Yeah, that was pretty acidic, I think, hey?
Oh yeah.
I think next time, Josh and I talked about mixing the hot pepper juice with pickle juice and seeing what that kind of combination would make.
Yeah. I'm not a big fan of vinegar, so that's kind of nasty.
What? Really?
Yeah.
Vinegar's
I
great, my
hate
friend.
vinegar.
You are missing out.
No.
Well, anyways, we are so glad that we had a chance to hang out and play a little bit. Next time, maybe I'll find some more difficult biblical names. I think our junior high stream had a little tougher.
They were
Matt
impossible.
says that they were impossible. But anyways, it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. These guys seem to have fun too. But yeah, so tonight we're going to be talking about some fun stuff. We're going to be actually passing it over to Jason and Ben, who I believe are going to start us off. Is this the chair thing that they're doing first?
I think so.
Yes, I'm just sorry. My stuff is getting all mixed up in my head. So we're going to be passing it off to Jason and Ben, who also have something kind of fun to talk to us about tonight.
I'm Andrew Marcus, my brother Nathaniel. We're just 2 guys, born and raised in USA, and we're woodworkers.
You know, what really put us on the map was the chair.
The chair, it was the chair. And I went in with a plan, maybe to use a cedar, something classic. And I see the mahogany and it calls out to me and says, how about me today? I grab that mahogany, start building. Unfortunately, there wasn't enough.
Right.
So
It's an expensive wood.
It wasn't practical.
Yeah.
I did most of the hammering because he's got a bad shoulder.
I heard it. It was a wrestling injury. We work great together. I often think of a plan. Andrew Mark.
Anything involved in the shoulder he can't touch, but man, we couldn't do this without him. And I mean that. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. It wouldn't be Andrew Mark and Nathaniel's woodworking shop without Nathaniel.
I mean, it's interesting now that we've been doing this a while, and it's been 15 years, and I've never picked up a hammer.
He hasn't. He's never. Everything we do is artisan. Is it artisan? Artisanal? Artesian?
Our attention to detail is higher than
Average. So a lot of people have been using the reclaimed lumber, barn doors. What hasn't been done is barn nails, reclaimed nails. It's a lot of work to pull them out.
Yeah. We believe it's worth it for the finished product. What stands out about the chair is that everything is working together. The legs, all 4 of them, they come up to connect with and create the seat. And that's an invitation to people to just come and be.
I remember we stepped back, looked at the chair. There's nothing quite like it when you see months of hard work. And hey, we understand that this chair, it started potentially 100 years ago when that birch started growing.
We acknowledge that. When you get the chair from Andrew, Mark, and Nathaniel, you're getting so much more than just the chair.
So much more.
It's safety, which comes in a close second to craftsmanship, which we know means artistic, scientific.
If you go ahead and just follow us at Andrew, Mark, Nathaniel Woodworking on Instagram, you're gonna find pictures of our trade, but you're also gonna find heart.
We're 2 guys making a difference in this huge world, 1 nail at a time.
Best thing I've ever made. I wrote a song.
I built this like foldable stool and it doesn't wobble or anything.
Probably like a lamp, and I made it out of pipes.
This is so nerdy. I feel like the best thing I've ever made are spreadsheets online.
The worst thing?
The worst thing?
Well, I'm horrible at drawing.
I made a really, really, really disgusting looking clock when I was in woodshop class in grade 8, and I never want to see it again.
I've also burnt macaroni and cheese.
I made a really horrendous batch of cookies when I was like in the 3rd grade, and I added in lard when I wasn't supposed to, and I took it to school, and nobody could tell me that they were awful. I just kept selling them in the bake sale. It was terrible. Nobody bought those cookies. Yeah.
They sound gross.
They were disgusting.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was super awesome. Something I want to let you guys know before we actually jump into answering the question is this is actually real. The Andrew, Mark, and Nathaniel Woodworking Instagram account.
It's
You should definitely
amazing.
Check it out. It's hilarious.
So funny.
They have almost 2,300 followers. It's pretty legit.
Seems
so
like they're making a legitimate business.
yeah, you should check it out.
Making
Anyways,
interesting chairs.
just a little fun fact for tonight.
Yeah. So, back to our question.
Yes.
What have you made that you're proud of, or
Not proud of.
or not made, or not proud of?
Yeah, so what is the best or worst thing that you've ever made?
Yeah.
Throw that in the chat if that's something that you have thought of, something that you're really proud of, or something that's maybe not so awesome. For me, it's like a weird combination of both things. Back when I was like 12 years old, I wanted to celebrate my parents' anniversary by baking them a cake, but it's in the middle of July, so it was really hot. And at my aunt and uncle's place, they have a really small kitchen that was inside the middle of the building, so it was super insulated. So we baked the cake, and then we tried to let it cool, but I guess the inside didn't cool down, even though the outside had cooled down, and so we iced it, and it just kept sliding around everywhere. And we had all these toothpicks we're trying to like prop it up with. It was such a mess, especially because it was a chocolate cake. So it was just this melty, gooey mess,
basically
a brown
just
mess. Oh, it was super gross, but it was great because my parents loved it regardless, even though it was just such a mess. Yeah, so it was kind of fun.
Yeah.
What about for you?
Definitely there's something I'm not proud of. I remember leading worship with a friend of mine a few years ago, and it's funny. We were playing music, obviously that's what we were doing on the stage. Anyways, I don't know why. I blanked there for a second. Anyways, so as we're going into this very well-known song, there's an intro to it, and I'm supposed to start it with the keyboard, and so I start the introduction to the song, and I just destroyed it. I wrecked it so bad, and I was so sad with myself.
Little side-eye
Yeah,
looks
so
from the
he's looking
leader.
at me as I'm like playing it, like, what are you doing? And so he like,
worship
and everyone's in the moment, like just really praying and really in that moment of like wanting to like enter into worship with Jesus, and I just go ahead and just wreck it. And so he's like, he gives me that look of like, hey, we're gonna do that again because you just destroyed it, and I did the exact thing and made it worse. So
That's awful.
I botched it twice, and that will always haunt me. That was a terrible,
I'm so sorry.
terrible situation.
All right, let's see what you guys are proud of or not proud of. A carrot cake from Emma. You're proud of it or not proud of it? I'm not 100% sure. Maybe it was a good one. I'm going to assume that it was really great carrot cake. Your relationship with the Lord.
Wow.
That's awesome. That is a really great thing. Daria, the best thing you've ever made was for your sister's birthday card, Mother's Day card, watercolors.
Watercolor. That's
nice.
awesome.
An artist over here. Okay, yeah, that's awesome. Focaccia. I always pronounce this focaccia bread. Focaccia.
Focaccia bread.
Yes, focaccia bread. Worst thing, zip line made of twine. I'm assuming. What? I don't know what to picture with that. I feel like that would probably been a really bad.
Alex says in his performance of Anne of Green Gables, he was Matthew
Oh
Cuthbert.
no way! You made people cry. I'm so proud of you.
That's amazing.
You just. But yes, I'm with you, Natalie. You made a zip line out of twine. Like that's
Twin.
Twin? I don't know what twin is. I keep thinking twine, the little tiny.
Yeah, that's probably what he meant.
That's crazy.
Sourdough. Nice.
That's
Carla Ray.
insane.
Yeah,
But-
amazing sourdough cinnamon cookies.
Cool.
Made a zip line out of
Rose in welding. That's
metal
amazing.
rose. That is sweet. I miss welding. That's something I'd love to get into.
Yeah.
Welding.
Cool. Well, thanks for sharing, guys, the fun and slightly embarrassing things that we've made. It's pretty awesome. But we're actually going to be shifting into our more serious conversation for tonight, and that is talking about the big concept of why Jesus died. Now, that's a pretty big question, and we're going to be diving into a little bit about what sin is and what it does in our lives and all that kind of stuff. So we're going to be passing it back over to Jason and Ben, who are going to start that conversation for us.
If Christianity had a logo, I think we'd all agree that it'd be the cross. All over the world we see crosses, on signs, in architecture, jewelry, fashion, and tattoos. The cross was a tool used in the first century to execute criminals. But today, it's a symbol pointing to Jesus.
Typically, people who are famous are remembered for the great things they did during their life. But Jesus seems to be equally remembered for his death.
Yeah, but why does Jesus' death on a cross matter to us today? Paul wrote in the New Testament that the Son of God, talking about Jesus, he loved me and gave himself for me. Jesus died because he loves you.
That's the reason for the cross. It's God's amazing love for you and for me.
Now, Jesus died for us. What does that mean? Why did he have to die? What was the problem? Well, there's something absolutely amazing about every human being. You and I were created by God. That means that you're not an accident. And every person is made in the image of God, in the image of the Creator. So humans have a unique capacity for all kinds of love and goodness and creativity.
But there's another side to the coin. People are also capable of doing wrong. You only have to look at the news for a moment to see humanity's capacity for evil. And we can't just say, well, those are evil people and these are the good people, because it's far more complex than that. The Bible uses a specific word to describe this part of humanity: sin. Now, I know the word sin isn't necessarily one that people love. It can often be misunderstood. I've heard it used to describe really good foods like chocolate or cake. Okay, I don't think we're feeling the sinfully delicious part.
It's not the right tag.
Right.
It's got a bad connotation.
Yep.
I'm thinking something more like, for goodness sake, I love this cake.
Hello.
I like it.
Well, the one you did before.
Bam, bam, it's cake in the pan, chocolate cake, cake.
But sin in the Bible isn't described in a positive way. It's used to describe the bad stuff in our life. We're not talking about accidental mistakes like eating too much chocolate or something like that. We're talking about our natural inclination towards selfishness, to act in a way that goes against what's best for the relationships that we care about, and even our own well-being.
Paul wrote, "All have sinned and fall short of the glory of God." That means that sin isn't just an issue for a few people. It's something inside each one of us. I know I've done stuff in my life that I deeply regret. I've hurt people, even people I love.
Yeah, and I think that if we were all honest, we've all done stuff that's wrong. We've sinned.
And none of us wants to be called a sinner. And if you're like me, you might think, okay, I'm not perfect. I know I get stuff wrong, but compared to some people, I'm not that bad.
Yeah, but the problem with that type of comparing is that it's not how Christianity teaches about sin. God doesn't share our rating system. He doesn't compare us to one another to see if we're sinners or not. Compared to God's standard for goodness, we're nowhere close. We're all sinners. We're all in the same position. We're people in need of forgiveness.
So if we're all sinners, why does it matter? If we're all in the same situation, what's the problem? The problem is there are consequences for our sin.
Okay, so then what are the consequences of sin? Well, the first consequence is pollution. Just as the pollution of our environment is a problem, Jesus actually said it's possible to pollute your life. Now, sin pollutes our hearts. It poisons our relationship with one another, and it poisons our relationship with God.
And second, sin is powerful. It has an addictive quality to it and can destroy our lives. Jesus said everyone who sins is a slave to sin. So for example, if you were to take heroin for a sustained period, you'll become addicted. But it's not just hard drugs. It's also possible to be addicted to things like envy, greed, and even arrogance.
And sin has a penalty. There's something in all of us that cries out for justice when we hear about the terrible things that are done to people. Things like robbery or violence, slavery, abuse. We want the people who do these things to be caught and punished. Well, because we believe there should be a penalty for those things. But it's not just other people's sins that deserve to be punished. It's actually ours as well.
And lastly, the worst part of sin is the impact it can have on our relationship with God. Sin causes a partition. It creates a gap between us and God.
And that's an issue because we were created for relationships with people and with God. But sin fractures that relationship. Maybe you've experienced how a lie can wreck a friendship, or even how cheating can break apart a family. In a similar way, sin actually builds up a wall between us and God that you and I can't tear down by ourselves.
Romans 6:23 describes the penalty of sin as death. When we are disconnected from God, our ultimate source of life, that's spiritual death.
It's everywhere. I mean, it's unavoidable.
Some people may say drinking and smoking. I don't see that as sin. Cheating on a loved one or lying to loved ones, I think that's kind of a sin, I guess.
Terrorism and the war and all of that, that for me is a big part of sin.
War and the mistreatment of women and children.
Personally, I try to not think about it.
Greed. I see everyone greedy. I see everyone mostly think about themselves first.
There's things that you shouldn't do, like rape and slavery.
Disrespect to older people and people hitting girls, guys hitting girls. That's one of the things I don't like.
Anytime bad things happen to good people or to innocent people.
There's evil in the world because there's evil inside of us. So if we could figure that out, that would be perfect. There would be no evil at all.
Our nature is a spectrum.
Nature spectrum.
Oh, hi.
Hey guys, sorry.
Sorry, we've been just chatting through kind of what we wanted to talk about. We like to kind of talk about these things as we're processing them with you. So the big question is, how do you see sin in the world around you? So I'm going to ask Jono about that. Yeah. He's going to give us a little bit of an insight about sin and the spectrum we kind of see sin on and all that.
Yeah, so I would say definitely I see sin manifest itself in all sorts of ways. I mean, I really see it in a selfishness and hate in people. And the funny thing is that we all have, to one extent or another, have either felt or sensed or have been that way. And I look at like all sorts of people that I've been involved with in life. I see their selfish ways either suck them out, and then it implodes the relationships around them, and it causes a lot of self-destructive habits. And I've seen people lash out in different ways, right? And so over time, you know, that just pulls you in. So it's definitely there. In terms of like ways I've seen it, you know, in throughout history or whatever, I think back to the Nazis and stuff in 1930. What's super interesting is that the country at the time, a lot of people were just living their life, doing their thing. They you know, they were good people, quote unquote. But then we see what happened with the Jews and the progression of just neighbors handing in people for their own, you know, safety. They would like turn in their neighbors or their friends or family, and they'd be like, "Oh no, don't come after me! Like, go take them."
Yeah.
And so we see that manifested, and heck, like even through the COVID-19 situation where people are hoarding meat and toilet paper and like just like in, you know. So we're definitely
it's like a self-preservation
totally
kind of thing.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is it's not just the major things that are technically sinful. We see that on the spectrum of even the small things of that you like, just lying, for example. Some people talk about like, well, my sin is not as bad as whatever.
Right. Yeah.
But it's
still
not different. It's still sin.
Yeah. Because our thoughts are definitely a part of that too. If we've thought about it, and then, you know, it's kind of stewed, and we've all sinned in some shape, way, or form. There's no one that's able to say, "What are you talking about? I'm exempt from that."
Yeah. So I think either we talked about earlier in this episode or last week, I can't remember exactly when, but we had talked about how like this is something that all humanity has. It's not just something that pockets of us have. Is everyone has it. It just sometimes it's expressed differently. So it's not something that we can necessarily escape. It's kind of everywhere in lots of different shapes and forms, and selfishness and greed and gossiping and like stuff like that. It's all over the place, I think. And I've seen a couple of answers in the chat as well. You see it in politics.
For sure.
A lot in there. We can see people taking advantage of other people. 100%. Yeah, that's something that's really
pride
that gouges out my heart. The exploitation kind of thing. Pride is a huge thing that is prevalent everywhere. And a lot of people sometimes like, well, I'm just self-confident, and it's kind of a mask almost.
Being self-reliant and trying to prove your quality above others. And sometimes people can be like fake humble.
Humble.
Please, like, no, that's okay. But like, I mean, God only knows their heart, and sometimes it's
true. It's
interesting.
And Natalie, just like you're saying, you could see people in the interview who personalized the concept of sin, and the ones who saw it outside, away from them in extremes. And so there are a couple of different thoughts about it. But if we know that kind of the baseline is that, well, we all have this in our nature. This is, as humans, we have this as part of who we are at this point. We are sinful. You can't separate it necessarily from you.
What's really interesting, there's a thought that just kind of peeked in my mind, is that as we've talked about this, is that our society, like institutions, schools, places of work, we all try to pretend that we don't have a problem like that. That there's that we're all trying to placate, or what's the word, like pretend and play down that we're actually not good people at heart, right? That we actually we're really good, really, you know, like if you dig deep down in humanity, you know, there's that divine spark of like goodness or whatever that is, right? We're not willing to really look at, actually, we're really terrible people. Like we have done so much wrong in the world. We don't really like to talk about that in our society today. We try to pretend that, no, everything's good. Like, what are you talking about? You just got to be a good person, you know?
Yeah, which is really unfortunate. And that is part of the reason that, well, the main reason that Jesus did die is to help us out with our sin problem. He knew that this was something that we couldn't escape on our own, so he was the only one who could give us a solution. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that. So we heard a little bit about the consequences of sin, and now we're going to talk and learn a little bit more about how that consequence has been taken away from us and replaced, which is so incredible.
It's amazing.
So why don't we pass it back off to our Alpha team.
The cross shows us that God loves this world, that he loves you. And it shows us that he's done something about the problem of sin. He didn't ignore the problem or say, you know what, it's not that bad, don't worry about it. No, God came to earth in the person of his son Jesus to deal with it personally. Jesus
Jesus' death on the cross is God's solution to the problem of sin.
One of Jesus' closest friends called Peter put it like this. He said, he himself, talking about Jesus, bore our sins in his body. By his wounds, you've been healed.
In other words, because Jesus was wounded, we can be healed. He took the consequences of our sin on himself. It's been described as the self-substitution of God. God substituted himself for you. Jesus died in your place. On the 31st of July, 1941, sirens rang out from cell block 14 in Auschwitz concentration camp because a prisoner had escaped. As punishment, the prison guards selected 10 random men to die in a starvation bunker. The 9th man selected was a man called Francis Gajewniczek. And when he was chosen, he cried out, "My wife, my children, I'll never see them again." At that moment, another man stepped forward and offered to die in his place. And to everyone's amazement, his offer was accepted. That man was a Catholic priest named Maximilian Kolbe. And he was taken with the other 9 to the starvation bunker. 15 days later, they were still alive. So on that day, August 14th, 1941, they were killed by lethal injection. 41 years later, on the 10th of October, 1982, the death of Maximilian Kolbe was put in its proper perspective. In St. Peter's Square, Rome, in front of a crowd of 150,000 people, Pope John Paul II described Maximilian Kolbe's death in these terms. He said, "It was a victory, like that won by our Lord Jesus Christ."
Being executed on a cross was the height of pain. Yet the New Testament doesn't focus on the physical suffering of Jesus too much, but instead it focuses on his spiritual suffering as he carried the weight of our sin. I heard it explained like this: let this hand represent you and me, your life and my life. And let this book represent the things that we do wrong, the sin that causes a barrier between us and God. Now let this hand represent Jesus. Jesus didn't do anything wrong. He lived a sinless life, so there's no barrier between him and his heavenly Father. There's a verse in the Old Testament that prophesies the death of Jesus, and it says, "We all, like sheep, have gone astray. Each of us has turned to our own way." And then it says, "The Lord has laid on him," on Jesus, "the iniquity of us all." On the cross, Jesus was carrying your sin and my sin. So do you see where that leaves us? Free to have a relationship with God.
The results of the cross are amazing. The cross and resurrection are really like one event. And it's like a beautiful diamond. It has different facets.
Or I like to see it like a beautiful onion because of the different layers of meaning.
A beautiful onion?
Yeah.
Like we're talking about something beautiful. Onions aren't beautiful. Diamonds are beautiful. People love diamonds.
People love onions, Ben. We're trying to describe all the different angles and perspectives and layers to the cross. I just thought onion, diamond, they both capture
it. Are you okay if we just, like facets though, I think?
I'm totally, if you, just as long as we're agreed that they're equal quality analogies. Onion, diamond, same diff to me.
Okay. Well, so I'll go diamond then.
Sure.
All right, yeah. I feel good about that. Okay. When a diamond hits the light a certain way, you see it one way. And when it hits the light another way, you see another part of its beauty. When we think of all that Jesus has done on the cross, it reveals so much.
First, it reveals how much God loves you and how precious you are to him. You never have to feel insignificant or worthless because the cross reminds us just how valuable we are to God.
And the cross speaks to suffering too. It shows us that God isn't far away, sitting on a cloud somewhere and watching all the suffering down here. No, through Jesus, he came into our world to suffer for us, and now he suffers alongside us.
The cross also tells us that the powers of evil have been defeated, and the resurrection tells us that the story ultimately ends well.
Because of the cross, the penalty of sin has been paid. Our guilt has been removed. The debt that we owed was paid for us.
There once were two little boys who were best friends. They played together, went to school together, they even went to university together. They were inseparable, until their careers took them in very different directions. One became a lawyer, the other a criminal. As one was promoted to a judge, the other disappeared deeper and deeper into a life of crime. Eventually, the criminal was caught and sent to trial. On the fateful day in the courtroom, he came face to face with his old best friend, the judge. And so, the judge had a dilemma. He loved his friend, but he had to do justice. And so, he fined him the appropriate penalty for the offence. It was a huge fine. There was no way he could ever afford to pay what he owed. But then, the judge took off his robes, went down, stood with his friend, and wrote out a check covering the cost. He paid the penalty himself.
What Jesus has done for us is even more amazing than what the judge did for his friend. The debt was way bigger. It was our debt of sin. And the love that he demonstrated was far greater because it cost him his life. And the result? Even better. It's total forgiveness made available to you and to me.
Forgiveness.
Basically accepting one another for everything, flaws and all.
I guess letting bygones be bygones, you know? When you're willing to let something go when someone made a mistake in the past.
Forgiveness is a second chance.
It's a second chance. Or third or fourth.
It's really just getting past what issue you guys had, you know, whether it be between you and somebody else or you and yourself, because a lot of people are tough on themselves and it's hard to forgive, but it's totally letting go and, you know, moving forward.
I'm not religious, but I feel like God's forgiveness is a way for people to let go of their wrongdoings or forgive themselves and move on with life.
It means love and sacrifice.
Complete freedom.
Refreshment and new life.
It is someone stepping on your white trainers and you can say, I'm sorry. And the person says, don't worry, you're forgiven. That is forgiveness.
Those are some really interesting answers coming up with, or I guess working through what is forgiveness. So Becky, what does forgiveness mean for you?
Yeah. I'm interested to see what you guys have to say. So if you have any thoughts about what forgiveness means, please throw them in the chat.
Yeah.
And I can see Daria, you made a really good point that he's such a good friend. Yeah, and that's how Jesus works for us. He's such a good friend to us. For forgiveness, what it means to me, specifically, it means like choosing to let go of anger and bitterness and things like those hard emotions that you feel because of something that someone else did to you. Because I know there's lots of things that people experience from friends and family members, people who are close, people who they don't even know, that are quite awful, and you have to kind of process after that, and you can choose whether or not to let that stew and like dig deep roots into your heart and like change your thought patterns, or you can choose to let it go and let somebody else take care of that. So basically it's a transferring of the
like a responsibility.
The responsibility almost, yeah. So it's the transferring of the right, that's the word I'm looking for, the right to be able to do something about it to the Lord, in my opinion. Because I've done a lot against him, and he has chosen to forgive me, so I need to do the same because he's asked me to do that. So I don't really have the right to do that anymore. I need to transition it back and say, okay, Lord, this is yours. I know that you are a just judge, and I can trust you to take care of this in the way that it's meant to, and you can help me grow in the healthy direction. So that's what I think about with forgiveness.
No, that's awesome.
So.
Yeah, I think it's such a powerful thing. I mean, you're literally abdicating, getting rid of your right for anger, for wanting to attack them or make it right in your way, how you see it, and you're transferring that back to God and saying, no, you make it right in your timing. That's hard. That is a hard
and it's
thing.
an identity thing too.
Absolutely.
I think
100%.
Because like if you choose like that to get your own justice, you have this thought of yourself that I am the person who is in control. I have the best intentions and the ways to deal with this, so therefore blah blah blah. When you forgive, you choose to forgive, it's more of like, okay, I understand that I'm a child of God and this is what he's asked me to do, and I can trust this and move forward in growth.
Yeah.
So it's an identity piece as well. So I'm seeing choosing to let go of an offense or an offender means when you've done something wrong to someone that the person chooses to forgive you, to forget about what you've done and move on, almost like it didn't happen. Yeah, it means to wipe the slate clean, to pardon or cancel a debt. Yeah, so you can talk about like the year of Jubilee with that. It means God doesn't hold my sin against me and is freedom from the past. Forgiveness is shared, not a self-possessed reality. A reality that is held in true love, true care, and kindness, so much so that no vocabulary can describe the feeling when you get when you don't deserve something, but it's given to you anyway. Guys, you are some wordsmiths.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
Couldn't have said them better. Those are beautiful.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that with us. I love seeing your heart and your thought processes. That's really cool. Thank you for sharing with us. I see what time it is, so we're gonna move on to the last chunk of our conversation here and get ready to wrap up so we don't take over your time from your Zoom groups.
The reality of the cross has the power to change us. It helps us leave behind bad habits and experience new freedom in our lives. Before I was a Christian, I used to have so many negative thoughts about myself that would run through my mind. As a result, I felt insecure, I pushed people away, and ultimately I was unhappy. But when I began a relationship with Jesus, so many of those thoughts, they disappeared. The power they had in my life was broken. And in a similar way, when my friend Chris encountered Jesus, his addiction to drugs was instantly broken. He was set free. Now here's the thing. It's not always like this. Change is a journey. It's long-term. Some things might change overnight, but a lot of the change we're talking about happens over time.
Jesus said, if the Son sets you free, if he sets you free, you will be free. That means that we can experience freedom from the grip of sin and see transformation in our lives. The power of sin has been broken, and the pollution of sin has been cleansed. John writes that the blood of Jesus cleanses us from all sin.
When I realized that I'd been forgiven by God, it helped me to forgive others too. All of us have been hurt at some point in our lives, and that hurt stays with us, often leaving us bitter or even angry. But when we experience God's forgiveness, it makes it possible for us to let go of that anger and bitterness and to forgive others.
In 2 Corinthians, it says, God was in Christ reconciling the world to himself. The cross wasn't God punishing an innocent third party. God himself came to die for you and for me. Ultimately, because of the cross, we have been reconciled to God. The partition of sin has been removed. Jesus told a story about a prodigal son. The son leaves home, breaking his relationship with his father. After wasting the family money, he finds himself with nothing, alone, empty, and convinced that he had wrecked his relationship with his dad forever. Reaching the point of desperation, the son decides to return home, with a small hope that he might be able to earn a wage working for his father's business. As he's coming home and is still a long way off, the father sees his son, and instead of waiting for his son to come to him, the father goes out to meet his boy, stretching out his arms, welcoming him home with a huge hug, fully accepted as his son.
And this story is for you. No matter what you've done, when you come home, when you come to God, he runs to you and he embraces you. God loves you. Jesus died for you. And through the cross, we're invited to have a relationship with God. And when I understood all of this, when I experienced this, it totally transformed my life. And it can totally transform yours too.
I'm gonna outline these 4 things before we. Okay, so that's a big conversation
Yeah.
talking about sin and how it pollutes our lives,
Yeah.
it has power over our lives, it gives us a penalty and also a barrier between us and God. And the fact that that is part of our nature, that it's just kind of part of who we are and how we function. But it can be hard if we try to just stop the conversation there and be like, oh my gosh, I'm so awful and I don't know what to do, everything's awful. But the fact that Jesus came and he took that really cool transferring analogy that Jason, one of them,
One of them.
did with the notebook
Yeah.
where he transferred it over. I thought that was really cool. So yes, we are sinful. Yes, there's a penalty and there was a barrier, but Jesus came and he died because he loved us so much. He removed that barrier. He took that penalty on himself. He forgave us. And now that he's paid for our debt, we're now able to pay it forward, and we're able to forgive others and share the word about how Jesus wants to forgive everybody if they come and they turn to him. So that's a pretty crazy conversation. Now, again, I know what time it is, so I don't want to draw this out too long. So at this point, I just kind of want to transition us out to our Zoom groups. We have, as always, follow-up questions in your books that you can use in your Zoom time, and we hope that you'll be able to continue your conversation. If you have more questions, want to have more discussions, because we didn't really have much of an opportunity to have a lot of that, please feel free to write !chat in the chat so you can connect with us and talk with us, and we'd love to have conversation with you. If you'd like prayer for something, you can write !prayer, and that will connect us as well. If you're brand new, you can write !connect, and that's your way to get connected with us as well. Welcome if you are brand new. We are so excited that you're here. Now, again, I don't want to take up more of your time, so I'm going to stop talking. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We hope that you have some stuff to wrestle with tonight, and you're able to have some really good conversations with your group and with your leaders. We love you guys. Thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us. We hope that you have such a blessed evening with your group and with your leaders. We love your leaders.
Yes.
They are amazing. We can't do this without them.
Thanks for joining, guys.
So thank you guys. We love all of you so very much, and we wish you a very great night with your family.